U.S. Mint makes the pocket change we spend every day. But it also makes coins that are works of art. Some will be worth millions. Even the rare mistake can bring in a fortune.
It's art, it's sculpture, it's history, it's sociology, it's everything, and it's a coin.
San Francisco, California is home to a branch of the U.S. Mint that makes special coins for collectors. They're works of art, not intended for general circulation. The process of making these coins has been a secret until now. In an underground vault, the San Francisco Mint stores ingots of pure silver. Each one weighs approximately 85 pounds, worth more than $5,000 at today's prices. But to make coins, the silver must first be made into blanks. These are the blanks for silver quarters. They are fractions of an inch thicker than finished coins because they will be compressed when they're stamped. If the width of a blank varies by just 1/500th of an inch, it will be rejected. The oil in human skin will corrode the blanks, so they must not be touched by human hands.
From beginning to end, those coins are babied. You want to make sure there are no faults in that coin, that the coin is as high a quality specimen as possible.
Blanks that are the right size and weight are still not ready to be made into coins. A rapidly spinning disc squeezes the blanks ever so slightly, giving them a raised rim. Then the blanks are polished in a whirlpool of smooth steel pellets. The result is a mirror-like shine. Now the blanks are ready to be turned into coins. But the greatest challenge in producing a collector coin is perfecting the design. This is the design for the silver North Carolina State Quarter. It's based on a photograph of the Wright brothers' first flight. The design has been etched into a piece of hardened steel called a die. The die will strike the design onto the blank. Although the surface looks smooth, it's not smooth enough. Simple cellophane tape will protect the design during polishing. The worker must cut around the design to expose the flat surfaces. If she cuts too deeply, she can ruin the die. To do work this fine, she must train for up to a year. She uses a paste made from crushed diamonds. She will spend up to 3 hours on this single die. In the end, this simple piece of metal becomes a license to make money.
dies are guarded in the same way that the nation's assets are guarded. If a die were to go out, it would mean basically that someone else other than the mint would have the ability to strike legal tender coinage.
It takes two dies to make a coin, one for the head and one for the tail. The dies are mounted in a steel collar before going to the press. Proper alignment is crucial. The head and the tail must face in exactly opposite directions. The slightest mistake in alignment could produce thousands of unacceptable coins. To prevent the dies from shifting as they strike coins, they must be locked down tightly.
The orientation of the tail of the coin and the head of the coin is very, very critical. The setting of the die is as important as actually striking the coin itself.
The coins are struck on special presses which stamp the head and the tail simultaneously. We can understand the process better by slowing it down. The die for the tail is mounted inside this well. When a blank slides in, the press drives the head die down with over 90 tons of pressure. These silver coins are stamped 2 times to embed the design. Regular coins are struck only once. To survive this tremendous pounding, the 8-ton press contains massive shock absorbers. What happens when the press strikes the blank is actually quite complicated.
When the die actually strikes the blank, that pressure builds up tremendous heat on that coin. And that heat literally brings the surface of that metal to a molten state. So it's not so much that the die is striking and pressing into the coin as much as the metal is flowing into the die, and that image is really brought up, as it were. That's what gives you the texture, the sculpting, the relief, the difference in levels of the coin.
The coin press can produce only 30 silver quarters a minute, a snail's pace by mint standards. Hours of labor have gone into creating these coins. Coins that pass final inspection will be designated mint-proof. A quarter that's made for general circulation lacks the detail and shine of the mint-proof. It is fine craftsmanship that gives these coins their premium value. The San Francisco Mint generates over $100 million in sales annually from its coin sets. But the U.S. Mint's most valuable coins are not produced in San Francisco. They are made on the other side of the country, at a surprising location. This is the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York. Located on a remote corner of the Academy grounds is the smallest branch of the U.S. Mint. It's also the most tightly guarded because its products are gold coins.
We don't advertise the facilities. We don't put a sign on the outside of the building saying we have over $60 billion here, but it's pretty self-evident when the people hear the word U.S. Mint, they think money, and we expect them to think that.
Few people have ever seen what goes on inside the West Point Mint. Every time the workers enter or leave, they must pass through a special metal detector, 100 times more sensitive than that at an airport. So they must remove all items that contain metal.
We're taking into consideration any metal or gold you may have in your teeth, any metal that you may have that you can't take off your body. Sometimes this happens with a ring. And so we'll identify the amount of metal you had going in with the amount of metal you have going out. And there's only one way in, and there's only one way out.
This extraordinary security exists for just one purpose: to protect billions of dollars worth of gold. The gold is stored in a series of vaults that lie inside two other vaults. The exact dimension and locations of these vaults is a tightly guarded secret. West Point is the mint branch that makes all U.S. gold coins. This gold is among the world's finest, 99.99% pure. Each ingot weighs about 28 pounds, worth more than $100,000 at today's prices. Because gold is so valuable, every ingot must be weighed each time it enters or leaves the vault. That's done on this mechanical scale. It may be old-fashioned, but it is accurate to 1/100th of an ounce.
When the scales are empty, if you throw a dollar bill on it, it can tell you that there's a dollar bill in there. It'll swing completely to one side.
West Point guards more than 140,000 bars of gold. It would take too much time to weigh that many bars individually, so they're weighed in batches. The mint tracks its entire inventory of gold down to fractions of an ounce. The ingots must now be shipped out of West Point to be made into blanks. This unmarked factory in Rhode Island is one of the few private companies allowed to manufacture gold blanks for the U.S. Mint. When the ingots arrive, they're inventoried and stored in a locked vault. Gold this pure is too soft to make durable coins. So the gold must be strengthened. That's done by adding small amounts of copper and silver. The gold and other metals are melted in a crucible. The high temperature will cause the copper and silver to bond with the gold, creating a gold alloy. The copper will make the gold stronger. The silver will add to its brilliance. Only when the molten gold has reached 2,000 degrees can it be poured off. This part of creating a gold alloy has not changed much in centuries. next step employs a powerful modern technology. The gold is poured into a small graphite chamber which forms it into a solid ribbon, 3 inches wide and ½ an inch thick. A powerful refrigeration unit has cooled the gold by 1,500 degrees. On an average day, it will produce a ribbon as long as a football field. The ribbon is cut into 20-inch slabs. Each is worth more than most Americans make in a year. Now the gold must be pressed to the proper thickness. Steel rollers squeeze it under 90 tons of pressure. Each pass makes the gold fractions of an inch thinner. When the workers are done, the original 20-inch slab will stretch to more than 10 feet. The gold is now ready to be cut into blanks. This stamping press uses 40 tons of pressure to cut out 2 blanks at a time. It can produce up to 2,000 blanks an hour. That's more than $500,000 worth of gold. Just like silver blanks, the gold ones must be protected from contact with human skin. Every inch of the scrap will be recycled. The mint requires that each blank weigh at least 33.93 grams. Any blank that's overweight must be trimmed. Any blank that's underweight will be rejected. Not a thread of gold is wasted. The finished blanks are arranged 25 to a tray and vacuum sealed. That's to protect them from contamination. Now they are ready to be turned into coins. When the gold blanks arrive at West Point, they are counted by hand.
1.
Security regulations require that at least 2 people be present. That's because of the enormous value of these blanks.
5.
Each tray holds more than $6,500 worth of gold.
500.
We count it, we weigh it, we count it again, we place it in our vaults, and when we sell it, we count it again. It is our job not to lose metal.
The mint checks a few blanks from each shipment to make sure they contain 1 full ounce of pure gold. The sample is flattened in a small press. After each pass, the press is tightened. When the sample is as thin as a credit card, it can be sent to the chemist. The chemist needs a sample that weighs exactly ½ a gram. is so sensitive that even ordinary dust can throw it off. The chemist adjusts the scale with a thread weighing little more than an eyelash. Finally, she has a sample weighing precisely half a gram. Next, the sample is wrapped in lead. The samples are heated to burn off the copper and lead. Only pure gold and a tiny bit of silver remain. Later, this will be weighed to make certain that it contains the correct amount of pure gold. Now the gold blanks are ready to be made into coins. The operator coats the rims with oil so they will slide more easily into and out of the press. Each blank is placed by hand. It takes 3 strikes at 140 tons of pressure to render the design in full detail. The design has the greatest depth of any American coin in production. The American Eagle $20 gold piece. The design was created in 1907 by American sculptor Augustus St. Gaudens. It is considered the most beautiful design ever made. Every American coin in production, except the penny, bears the initial of the mint branch that made it. When a coin bears the W of West Point, it represents the highest art of American coin making. In the year 2000, the Mint's 1-ounce American Eagle was the world's best-selling gold coin. A single coin costs more than $550. But the Mint's most expensive coins are made from a metal even more rare than gold. Platinum looks like silver, but it is more resistant to corrosion and harder than gold.
Platinum is an extremely dense metal and a very heavy metal, and it's intriguing that when you lift it, how a very small amount is incredibly heavy.
It must strike platinum at least 5 times to embed the design properly. Each strike slams the metal with 200 tons of pressure. The 1-ounce platinum dollar is sold for $740, making it one of the most expensive new coins in the world. Because the coins at West Point are so valuable, the workers are held responsible for all coins made during their shift.
The shift has to account for all the gold pieces before they leave. If a piece is missing, then the employees need to stay and they search for it until they find it.
The Mint's gold and platinum coins are worth serious money. But on today's market, rare antique coins are even more valuable. Coins were first made 4,000 years ago. For many people, coins are a way to connect with the civilizations that created them.
These coins speak to you. They almost have a vibration. I get a thrill because I realize that I'm holding history in my hand. To hold a coin from 1793 or from 1865 during the Civil War and know that when this coin was minted, the United States government was just starting to form, or that we were going through the American Civil War or World War II.
Ultimately, the value of any coin is determined by what the market will pay. We can see the market in operation at this rare coin auction in Salt Lake City. Potential buyers have flown in from all over the country. The coins for sale range from a penny to a quarter to a $10 gold piece.
6 here, 27, 28, 29, 950 bid 1,000. 950 bidder 129. 125, 140, booking 140. There's 950 now, 1,000, 1,050, 11. I have 1,050 bid 11.
Bidders commit thousands with a simple nod or a gesture.
55 once, 55 twice. Sold for 55,000, bidder number 219.
People will pay crazy prices for coins in a public auction because they have to have that coin, and if the coin is rare enough, they will realize this is their only opportunity to buy it.
Now it's time for tonight's main attraction. The coin was made by the Mint in 1913. Its face value, just 5 cents.
I've got 1,400,000, looking for 1,500,000. I've got 1,500,000, looking for 1,600,000. I've got 1,600,000, looking for 1,700,000. I've got 1,600,000, looking for 1,700,000. I've got $1,600,000 once, $1,600,000 twice, $1,600,000. Congratulations.
The buyer is a dealer who purchased the coin for a private client. They were made in secret at the Mint from a design that was supposed to be discontinued. But is that enough reason to spend over $1 million on a nickel?
I could say that I look at an oil painting and I go, how could an oil painting be worth $30 million? It's somebody taking a brush with some different color paint and putting it on a frame, and sure, it's pretty, but is it worth $30 million?
There's one critical way that coins differ from paintings. Coins are works of art made by a government agency, the United States Mint. When a nickel sells for $1.6 million, how can buyers be sure that they're getting what they pay for? One way is to come to the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation of New Jersey. It is one of the few companies in the world that is trusted to grade coins. The grades will be decided by these judges.
Okay, I have a grade in my head. What do you think?
The highest grade is Mint State 70 points. That's for a coin that is absolutely flawless.
Great luster, hardly any marks, eye points are nice, great rim, great eye appeal. particularly under
The coin is a 1907 $20 gold piece.
This is a classic coin that's very scarce in higher grades of mint state condition.
Each grader first examines a coin by himself. He judges it only against others of the same type. He may spend hours, or just a few seconds, on a single coin. Then he decides on a grade.
I personally have seen and graded over 6 million coins and handled every major rarity, including coins that have sold for millions of dollars.
The judges have come up with 3 different grades for the same coin. It's the market, not the graders, who determine the dollar value of a coin. But the graders know that they can have an enormous impact on price.
There's situations that a difference in 1 point on a coin can be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 between one grade and the other. Call it 64 is just doing it a disservice. It's clearly gem, fully lustrous. I feel comfortable at mint state 65.
I agree.
Agreed.
It's mint state 65.
With a grade of mint state 65 points, this coin will be priced at $20,000. After coins are graded, they're vacuum sealed to guarantee authenticity. Some owners will be pleased with their grade, others devastated.
We get a lot of them back because dealers will break them out. They're unhappy with the grade, or they get sold to another dealer. They'll break them out of the holder and send it back and try to get a higher grade.
In fact, they're really
Because so much is at stake, a grader's decision can generate a lot of conflict.
Below the branch on the front.
I've had people threaten me. I've had people yell at me at coin shows, over the phone, and I try to remain calm. I've heard it all. I know all the tricks. It's human nature.
The worst trick that graders see is actually a serious crime: counterfeiting.
There's tons of counterfeits out there. These things end up in tree stumps, they end up in the back of old furniture, they end up in chairs, they end up in grandmama or grandpa's collection that they've had for a long period of time.
Skip Fazzari is one of the country's best counterfeit detectors. Today, he is examining what appears to be a valuable Morgan silver dollar.
If you take a look at the center of the R on this coin, you'll see a raised lump of metal. In the leaves right above the R, right here, you'll see one of these nice round depressions.
The depressions appear when a coin has been made by pouring hot metal into a mold. Genuine U.S. coins, as we have seen, are struck on presses which don't leave these marks.
Any place on the coin where there's a small area or of an intricate design, for instance, the denticles of this coin, those are the little teeth around the rim, are places where these bubbles tend to get trapped and they'll show up on the finished coin as raised little lumps. Most people would be fooled by these things. That's what gives me, for instance, that's why I have my job.
Surprisingly, one of the most counterfeited American coins of all time is a penny. But it's a very rare, very valuable penny. The penny was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials are on the reverse side. Most VDB pennies have no mint mark and are worth only a few dollars. But those that carry the tiny S of the San Francisco Mint can be worth much, much more.
What the fakers do is they take a standard 1909 VDB coin, which is worth $10 to $20, and add the S to it, and produce a coin that's worth several $100s to a collector. In one case, we've seen the S put on with plain old modeling glue, and when we took a little acetone to clean the dirt around the mint mark, the S came right off on the Q-tip.
One of the most amazing counterfeits ever involved huge amounts of money.
And these were state-of-the-art fakes that were fooling just about everybody in the country. The Rolls-Royce of counterfeits.
The real version of this coin can sell for as much as $50,000. It's the 1907 high relief double eagle $20 gold piece. Only 11,000 of these coins were ever made, a tiny number by mint standards. When a number of them began to appear on Skip Vasari's desk, something didn't seem right.
I came upon this mark in the claw, and we'll see right here. It looked like a skull and crossbones to me, but the director, when he looked at it, said, "Look, this looks like an omega sign." Sure enough, it looked like the Greek letter omega. Perhaps this counterfeiter was so good that he was signing his work.
The counterfeiter, dubbed the Omega Man, may have produced over 20,000 double eagles. That many real coins could be worth more than $300 million on today's market.
What gets the counterfeiters in trouble in many cases is they get greedy. If they would have only made 5, 6, or a dozen of these coins, they possibly would have passed detection for a long period of time.
Ironically, even though these coins are fakes, collectors still buy them as works of art. The price? Around $800. The master counterfeiter, the mysterious Omega Man, is still at large. At conventions like this one in Salt Lake City, collectors come to buy and sell rare coins. Some of the most expensive coins are not valued for their fine workmanship or precious metal. In fact, just the opposite. Some of these are error coins that slip past the mint's inspectors.
This is a Georgia quarter minted in Denver that has part of the outer clad layer missing. What you're looking at is the copper core from the clad layer splitting off. This is a very collectible error on a state's quarter. If it was 100% off, it would be worth a couple of $100. It has a retail value of about $50. $50 is better than nothing. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much.
Error coins are the specialty of coin dealer Fred Weinberg.
When you come to error coins, not only are they different because they're not always perfectly round, they may have two images, they may be struck on the wrong type of planchet, but it's also a way of catching the government making a mistake that they can't deny.
The United States Mint makes billions upon billions of coins. We're the largest mint in the world, probably the largest mint that mankind has ever known. We make very few mistakes.
But with so many coins, even a tiny error rate will result in tens of thousands of error coins.
Error coins, to some people, are the fastest growing area of collectible coins. And we try to eliminate all errors, which of course is the opposite of what people want.
The coins can fetch anywhere from a few dollars to hundreds, even thousands of dollars. One of the most remarkable errors ever is a version of the U.S. Mint's new dollar coin. The real coin shows the face of the Indian guide Sacagawea and has an eagle on the tail. The error coin has the proper tail, but George Washington's face from the quarter on the front. The mint caught most of these errors, but the few that got out have fetched prices as high as $67,000. The coins have inflamed the passions of coin buffs, like machinist Brad Reagan. In his workshop, Reagan is making his own coin out of 2 U.S. coins. First, he drills a shallow hole into the face of Sacagawea on a dollar coin. One slip and he will ruin his work.
They can machine to 1/4 of a human hair and do it accurately and repeat it. That's where the skill comes in.
He continues cutting until the face is completely gone. Next, he readies the machine for the other coin, an ordinary quarter. He cuts away the rim from around the face, then slices off the tail. Work this fine takes incredible skill. The 2 pieces fit together nearly perfectly.
I take a lot of pride in my work, always have. It takes about a 10-power magnifying glass to find the edge, and that's what I want. That's what I machine for.
Brad Reagan is not a counterfeiter. He will sell this coin as a novelty item for $9.99.
As long as there's no intent to defraud, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you own a coin, you own it.
Reagan chooses not to bronze plate his coin. If he did, it would be an extremely good counterfeit.
This coin has George Washington on the front, has the reverse of the Sacagawea dollar. Somebody who thinks they're getting a bargain might pay $1,000 or $5,000 for this, thinking that they're getting a $50,000 coin. So you have to know what you're doing and you have to know who you're dealing with, because otherwise you will be fooled.
Most of us encounter coins made by the U.S. Mint in the form of pocket change. But in San Francisco and West Point, the Mint also makes coins that are worth big money. They get their value from the precious metal in them, from their fine craftsmanship, and from their rarity. They are the coins that will become part of our national heritage.
Hundreds of years from today, people will be collecting the coins we make. In this culture, things are so temporary. Coinage is something that really lasts.